Kamala Harris voters, I'm going to make you feel good and understand what's really going on, so pay attention, my fellow liberals and leftists. This is going to be a long one, but you're going to love it because at the end and during this whole process, you're going to feel 1,000% better. I am pouring into you. Please share with other people. Please subscribe here. The whole idea is that my name is Darren Monroe. I used to work for Kamala Harris's campaign on the engagement team, one of tens of thousands of people. And what I do these days on this channel is teach you how to go from chaos to clarity in the midst of Trumpism. You're going to love me. And also understand this is sponsored by my Clarity group. I have a private group because basically social media won't let us speak truthfully about the election, about the secret investigations, about the insider things that happened with the Epstein Society. I can only speak about that privately in my Clarity group. The price is about to double, so you definitely want to get in. The link is in the description and on the homepage. All right, let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go into a deep dive today. We're going to talk about the 5 different civil wars that are happening right now and why it's a good thing, why liberals are winning, why we're going to continue to win, and why we're going to show up and we're going to beat butt. We're going to kick butt. And I realize it doesn't feel that way. I do. I really do. I acknowledge it. But I'm going to check that too. I'm going to get in your heads. So pay attention. The first thing I want you to understand, there are 5 different types of civil wars. But before I go into that, let me first tell you something. Thoughts become things. Words become things. We will not give power to Donald Trump during this session. I want you to feel 1,000% better understanding that they are lies. They're suffering from what I call diabetes, and I'm going to give you a truth insulin. I want to tell you that I call them Persian Oriental because they lie like rugs. We are not going to fall into this BS. You will be entertained, ordained. It will take some time to break everything down, but once you hear everything, you will feel stronger because of it. You will feel empowered. You most certainly will be subscribing to my channel and binge watching all my stuff. And you will be loving me because I'm a cute, cuddly black man. And even if you aren't, well, nobody's perfect. So let's go. Here's the thing. First of all, I want you to understand. Do you love me yet? You probably do, right? You love me. It's okay. It's okay. Love the Darren. Love the Darren. Love the Darren. Here's the thing. I want you to understand very clearly that what we're going through had to happen. Oh, I hate saying it, but it's true. It had to happen, y'all. It had to happen. There were people who did not believe that this guy would do this. And I'm not just talking MAGA people. There are people who sat on this couch and did nothing. Just sat on the couch. Did nothing, did not show up. Those are the ones I have the biggest problem with. I realized MAGA at least was committed to their stupidity. But the sit on the couch people, you know, the ones who said, I'm not political. Bitch, please, really? You're not political? Really? In America? But you got opinions about shit happening now, right? Nah. Here's the thing. People need to get active and activated, you know. It's like, man, I'm not active in wiping my own butt. Seriously? Seriously? And you wonder why you smell like that? Come on. Complaining about the smell? What I'm trying to get you to understand is that it had to happen because people believed it couldn't happen. You know, the cost of freedom ain't free, and too often people take democracy for granted. Black people, African Americans, descended from an enslaved people, black people. Let me be very specific. That group of people that I belong to are doubly ticked off and pissed because we begged other minorities. We told them that ICE was coming for them. That ICE was nothing but police, P-O-L, where they took the P-O-L off and it was ICE and they coming for you. And nobody believed it. We told the Haitians, we told the Latinos, we told everybody, listen, we told Chinese, we told Asians. We said, Asians, they are coming for y'all. They are not playing. And nobody believed it until they believed it. They didn't know it was true until they knew it was true. For real. Nobody would listen, unfortunately. Only some listened. Like, big shout out to the Latinas who voted at 60% for Kamala. But beyond that, it was a failing fight. The other thing that's frustrating to us is like we're taking the test twice. We got to go through things as black people that we didn't want to go through because we already knew what was going to happen. 160 years of civil rights. Oh, civil rights wasn't just in the 60s. It started the moment we got free. or so-called free, and we've been fighting for it. And so what we're dealing with is a group of people who did not know this had to happen. And the truth is, it did. So let's go into the depth of why I believe that the liberals are going to win. We are going to win this. Notice I didn't say Democrats, though they are part of that. The liberals are going to win, the GOP is going down, and Trump's going to drag it right into the mud. That's the good news for us Kamala Harris voters. And for those who want to know about the math, not math, and with the coconut coming back to take over the orange, I talk about that in my Clarity group. Please go to my Clarity group. Click the link in the description. I got a report called 2024 Election Math Not Mathing. And then I talk about, what I saw on the back end as a member of that campaign and the 4 things that were really major red flags and what actually happened. And then I have lives that I do on Saturdays and Tuesdays you should hear. Saturday was Empowering Your Peace. Yesterday, Empowering Your Peace in the midst of Trumpism. And Tuesdays, I'm talking about narrative warfare, how he gets inside your head with you, okay? Here's the thing. I want you to understand that there are 5 different civil wars going on right now. 5. I'm going to get something to drink here. 5. 5. Not 1. 5. There's a Republican Civil War, a Democratic Civil War, a judicial civil war, a wealth civil war, and a military civil war. You will not hear this anywhere else. I have a report called The 5 Civil Wars in the back end of the Clarity group, but I'm going to give this to you for free right here. You're going to learn. Hopefully they don't flag it this time. And I'm going to say some things that you need to hear. So you ready? Let's go. First of all, before I go into Republicans, let's talk home. Let's talk about what's happening with the Democratic Party, okay? We got some problems. There are 4 major issues. Issue number 1 is the ideology, meaning the progressive versus the traditionalist. This is why AOC and Jasmine Crockett have been catching hell. They couldn't get into the oversight committees. You had Pelosi and you had Hakeem Jeffries hating on them. You got Schumer, who totally missed this whole thing with the early vote and didn't stand together with going against the big, beautiful BS bill. Okay? We have Hakeem Jeffries, who voted against impeaching Trump over bombing Iran. I know we wouldn't have won the vote, but it was good to see. It would have been good to see some people stand together instead of 120 Democrats voting against it. It's like, no, we need to stand together. Just like what the Texas Democrats did what they did. They stood together, at least most of the part. It was better than what we saw in the Congress. And that's the truth. We actually have our 23 Democratic governors, including here in Chicago, in Illinois. Shout out to J.B. Pritzker and Kwame Raoul and our Attorney General. We got 23 governors and attorney generals that have been fighting for the last 30 weeks. And in some cases, they've been winning. Right now, Trump is at 18 and 111. That's his court score in temporary injunctions, permanent injunctions, state injunctions, and national injunctions and case rulings. Look it up under Trump Case Tracker. There's almost 600 cases that they're tracking right now, but I'm talking about the ones that have been ruled on in those areas. And what I'm saying to you is he's losing. That's why I know that liberalism is coming back. But what we're dealing with in the Democratic Party is this ideology where Mamdani can't even get an endorsement from Schumer and Jeffries. It's like, really? He's the Democratic candidate for mayor. Why would you not endorse this guy? The city obviously wants him, and they're not backing him up. There's ideology issues when you talk about people like Jasmine, AOC, like Mamdani, and so on. The progressives, it's a progressive revolution that's happening right now. So that's the first part of Democratic. I told you this was going to be deep. Let's keep going. The second thing in the Democratic Party is the down ticket and national. There's a problem there. The down ticket aren't getting the money in the states and in the down ticket areas versus the national, which has been raising money 10, 15 times the money because it's Trump and Elon. They've been raising that money for the last 8 months, and the down tickets have started complaining, saying we're not getting that love. We're not getting that love. For instance, the Democratic Party should have came out their pocket if the Texas was going to hold them, the Texas Democrats, and they were going to fine them $500 a day. Keep in mind, they get $600 a month. They're doing this out of civic duty, out of civic responsibility and care. So they ain't getting any money in the first place. They ain't like Congress, who's getting $174,000 a year. No. And they're doing this. And the Democratic Party, whether it be the Texas Democrats, which I heard that possibly they did come out of pocket for that end, but they should have just paid that money. And there's other campaigns that are happening that aren't getting love out of different states from the national, and that's an issue. That's a problem. So we got progressive, we got the national versus down ticket. That's why I tell people, don't give the national Democrats any money. Fuck the DNC. Give the money to the down ticket, meaning your counties. I'm gonna say Cook County because I'm here in Chicago. Your counties, your parishes. Give it to your states. Your states, whether you're in the red or blue, we got Democrats everywhere. Please support them. Your local city, ward, whatever. Support them directly. Here's the other thing that's happening. So those are two things: down ticket and progressive ideologies versus traditionalists. There's a third thing happening, and that's age. We got a problem, a big one. And that is that the older avant-garde, whatever, are not letting go. Whether it be here in Chicago, we got Danny Davis, who's saying he's not going to run again. Dick Durbin say he's not going to run again. They're in their 80s. They shouldn't have ran in the first place. They should have passed that torch, and they didn't. Shame on them. They're trying to get a bag. That's what that was. Money, power, get a bag. The other thing was Pelosi. Pelosi blocked AOC. And it's like, no, what's going on here? What's that about? There's an issue, a major issue. And there's this separation that they need to just move their old asses on somewhere. But I think that's where we're going to grow in liberalism, because they are retiring. It's time to go bye-bye. There's a fourth one, and this is the deep one in the Democratic Party, and that is they don't talk about the elephant in the room. Kamala Harris didn't lose because of the economy. Kamala Harris lost one because the math wasn't mathing, but I can't talk about that on YouTube without being flagged. Again, get my Clarity group link in the description, link on the home page before the price doubles. Yes, I'm mentioning that because you gotta know what's going on. But here's the other thing I want to point out. Here's the other thing that I really want you to get out of this. Notice how the Democratic Party never once, this was an eye-opener for me. Notice how the Democratic Party never once pointed out the fact that there were people who weren't going to vote for Kamala because they didn't want to vote for a black Indian woman married to a Jew. I saw on that campaign more misogyny, more prejudice, more racism, more anti-Semitism, more xenophobia, homophobia, you name it. And yet they want to say, oh, well, maybe it was the economy. Bitch, please, it ain't no damn economy. Call it what it is, Democrats. Call it what it is. Because the problem is, you got a problem too. We found out through Hunter Biden, who revealed it. Hunter Biden was like, listen, I got receipts. Let me just really talk about shit. Good for him. He said, and we knew it already in the campaign, that Nancy Pelosi didn't want Kamala Harris. She wanted to primary her. And there were other creators online right now who I like and I support, who are on the left side, but they came with that same attitude. Let's primary her. And I'm like, why do you want to primary her? The black and Indian woman married to the Jew. Why'd you want to primary her? Why her? Why her? I could see if she was incompetent. She is not. I heard black people who were hating on her. I heard other women who were hating on her, both black and other, hating on her. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This woman was the state attorney. She's a former senator. She's a former prosecutor. She put bad people, cartel to molesters in jail. This is a perfect person for it. Who better. She worked for 4 years with Biden, had a stellar. I mean, when you look at everything that she helped pass, all the bills, it shows how ignorant people in our country are, whether it was on the right or on the left, because they're like, we don't know what she's done. We don't know enough about her. I'm like, really? For 4 years, she's been the vice president. You ain't got a hint? Okay. Look at her background. Look at what she did. And then it really got me that there were black people who were critical of her because they were like, well, she's not black. I'm like, really? She's half Jamaican. You know who else is half Jamaican? The most famous Jamaican ever, Bob Marley. Nobody ever said, well, Bob Marley, you're not black enough. On top of that, well, she doesn't identify with the black culture. Really? So wait a minute. She could have went, her father was a professor at Stanford. She could have at least gotten a deal, a discount, or maybe gone for free as his child. Her younger sister did and got a deal. But instead, where did she go? Howard, the oldest, biggest historically black college in America. And became an AKA. You mean tell me all them sisters took her as an AKA because she didn't identify with the culture on Howard? Here's how I know about Kamala Harris. I remember I didn't know nothing about Kamala Harris before the primary of 2020. But all I heard while I was working on my laptop and stuff, listening to the primary, all I heard was this black woman climbing to Biden's and pull his heart out. That's why I respect Biden so much. It take a real man do something like that, catch all that hell, attack all towards your ego, and he comes back and puts you on as vice president. Woo! I just knew she wasn't going to be vice president. I just knew. Oh, I know who they're not going to choose. She did it. She did it. And she did the damn thing as VP. And then they want to primary her? There's only 2 people who should have been primaried ever in the last 55 years. Ford, because he was too much of a punk ass to put down Nixon and impeach him. Okay? And Dan Quayle, because he was a roving, underqualified idiot. Other than that, no. Now keep in mind, I never said that Dick Cheney should be primaried. I hate his ideology. I hate Dick Cheney. Other than when he supported Kamala, I hated this guy. This is the Darth Vader. But he was never somebody who could have been primary. He's more than qualified. And yes, Pence, of all people, who I still, again, hate ideology, think he's a punk ass, but he's more than qualified. My point here is that there was discrimination that she was dealing with, facing within the Democratic Party. So we got this different of ideology. By the way, she is a progressive. She just had to go center with this campaign. And you know what? Math wasn't mathing anyway, but the whole idea, she won that campaign, y'all. Here's the thing. I just say it like that. But she is a progressive. The progressives versus the ideology. When you're talking about, let's find ways to make more money for X, Y, and Z people I've never ever heard of before these campaigns. She had a lot of progressive ideas. I'm telling you. Centrist my ass. And then what gets me is Bernie Sanders comes in and throws her under the bus after endorsing her at the DNC. I'm like, no, you expected that black woman to fly in a running marathon, and that was bull. So these 4 things that are happening in Democratic alone is amazing because we got this dynamic of progressive versus traditional. We got this downstate national thing going on, this age thing going on, and all the things I just talked about: prejudice, racism, homophobia, misogyny, xenophobia. It wasn't the immigration. It was, I don't want these brown people getting a bag. And black folks who are descended from an enslaved people were screaming to brown people like, please, please show up please show up. They coming for y'all. They coming for y'all. And they just wouldn't believe it because white people had grained in their head so well that they were part of the American dream. And the same thing goes for some of the black Africans from Africa, first, second, third generation, and and those people who are Caribbean, our West Indian brothers and sisters, didn't believe it neither. They didn't think they were going to get treated this way, and we swore up and down that they would. So that's what's happening in the Democratic Party. We got a civil war going on, but the good news is this. The traditionalists are gearing out. The older people are retiring. The down ticket is starting to raise money in all sorts of creative ways with low ticket money. I mean, Kamala Harris had the largest amount, $1 billion+ raised by people who were donating less than $20. But guess what? A lot of people have gotten hip and realized, oh shit, I better support local, regional, and local people directly. And it's been a wake-up call for those who are running down ticket, because they got to get creative, because they know national is a blessing, but we ain't gonna depend on that. You can't. You got to get creative with your funding and your strategies that are out there. The other thing that happens with the progressives and the down ticket is that social media. They realize the importance of social media. Now, you got to go hard with this on social media, with your campaigns, with everything. You can go viral, and you can have a movement, a grass movement happening online. And we need more creators who are coming with perspectives and assessments and so on. It's a battle. The one thing that the MAGA does very well is having independent media through their creators. And we need more of those on the left. I encourage that. I said I'm going to start a program doing that. Teaching people, even if they don't want money, how to be creators online and be vocal voices. So look for that soon. Subscribe to my channel here. Here's the thing I want you to understand. This has been a rough one through the Democratic Party alone. That's just one civil war. Let's go to the Republican civil war. Between Elon, who's making nice, not making up, he's making nice. And then you have a scenario with, it's very simple with them. They want the Epstein files. They want the JFK files. And so far, Trump and his administration has lied to him. He said that the JFK files, we're going to release it. They released it in March and found out that 95% of it was the same stuff that they got from the first term. And they felt lied to. Then he did the same thing just now with the Epstein files. Garcia, who's head of the oversight committee, who came in, he was like, dude, this is still 95%. And now the House is stonewalling him. The DOJ and the White House and the House of Representatives all stonewalling him over him trying to get what's really going on, because he only got 5% of new stuff. They're, of course, hiding Trump. Of course, they're hiding all the stuff and the other people out there involved. I do a thing on the Clarity Group called the Epstein Files. It's a 3-part series. I got the 4th part coming up. In a matter of 48 hours, you should be in my group. Again, click the link in my description and go over to my homepage on my channel here on YouTube and join before I start doubling the price, because it's more than worth it. I got people around the world. Hundreds of people have joined. The idea in this that I keep bringing up to people is, whoa, wait a minute. This Epstein thing is now going to hit them and hurt them bad. This is the thing that's going to be one of the things that bring them down. So you got this civil war with Elon going on, who ain't feeling dude. He's just playing nice till he can get out of this situation. You got the MAGA people mad over the files they're not getting. He's not draining the swamp. He is the swamp. He's the alligator. That's why I guess he's got alligator Alcatraz, right? And they see it. And then you got the big, beautiful bill getting ready to cut billions and billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions out of red states. They have just crucified themselves for 2026, even if it ain't effective until after 2026, because they tried to get slick and say, no, we didn't do that. They lied. They lied. They suffer from liabilities. Like I say, we should call them Persian Oriental, because they lie like a rug. This is some bullshit. It's some bull. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is that because of this revolution, it's pulling them away. And we all know that's a lie when they drag them out of town hall meetings. That's not us. We're not paying for people to be up in no town hall meeting to get dragged out. Those are genuinely Republicans, hardcore Republicans. And that's why I was mad at the Democratic Party also, because there's a lack of leadership in the Democratic Party, as we know, under the Congress, under the 23 governors and attorney generals. They're doing fantastic. They've been kicking ass. They're the real Democrats. But the Congress leadership has been waning and ugly. And what is hurting us is that they did not make moves they should have made. When they saw Bernie and AOC go out there to those red states and saw them crowds rock out, they should have went too. Because millions of those people, yes, were Democrats, because there are millions of Democrats everywhere, no matter what state you're in, whether you're in Texas, Florida, or any other red state. However, there were also a lot of hardcore red Republicans. They could have went in red states, all of them. Instead of, Cory Booker talking on the Capitol Hill doing a sit-in with Hakeem Jeffries. No. You take both your asses over to those red states and say, listen, we're not trying to campaign for the Democratic Party. We're trying to get you to get in touch with your Congress more. Reach out to them. Go for them. Show up. Blow up their phones. Here's how you do it. Here's what's really happening. Here's what they're not telling you and dragging you out of those town halls. We're going to do town halls. They would have appreciated that. They would have been stronger on those Congress people. And it would have been harder for them to pass the big, beautiful BS, even though it's still being fought in class action suits and studies and everything. We're hanging in there. We're still fighting. Now, here's the other thing with the Republicans that other than Epstein, Elon, okay, other than the big, beautiful bill that's happening, there's another element, and that is the economy. Everything got more expensive. He promised it would go down, and it did not go down. And let me tell you, some of the poorest states in America are red states. The people who need need the Medicaid, Medicare, veterans benefits, social, the people who need it the most are in red states. It's amazing how those 23 governors and attorney generals have been fighting for the last 30 weeks. They've been preparing for 2 years for this possible fight. They showed up. They've been winning in many cases, not all of them, but they've been fighting. But the ironic part of that is that those 23 Democratic states have been fighting for the United States, all 50 of them, including the red states. So you have this dynamic of them losing their benefits afraid through the big, beautiful bill, them listening and being dragged out of town halls, them watching Elon shut down every part of their departments. They didn't count for that. They didn't want that happening. And then you got these things that are happening with relation to Epstein files and JFK files and whoever files. Then you got another element in there too. When you look at the price of costing goods that come in, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, you guys, we didn't count for this. Where you get these cost of goods? This is ridiculous. Everything's going up. You're tariffing us to death. And then the sixth thing is, you guys got these ICE people coming in and getting rid of Raul. We like Raul. Raul is a citizen. Why are you grabbing Raul and shipping them off? I thought we were getting rid of the criminal gangsters. Nope. It's exactly what we said on the Kamala Harris campaign. We said, no, these motherfuckers are coming for everyone because they don't want the brown people getting the bag. And you still got businesses that voted for Donald Trump, knowing darn well that they had undocumented workers in their business. Well, I'm hoping somehow they'll overlook that. Really? Did they overlook it? No, they did not. They came for your assets too. There were Trump voters who owned Trump Burger, like the guy who owns Trump Burger in Houston, and now he's getting deported. And it's like, wait a minute, you can't treat us like this. It's like, yeah, they can, and we told you. Woo, woo, woo. How is that going to help us? In 2026, 2028, the vote ain't going to be the same on their side. Plus, hey, tactic known, tactic blown. I know you're worried about the election being taken, but it ain't happening. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what about the ballot boxes and blah, blah. You might as well write that on toilet paper. His executive order does not override the Constitution. Just doesn't. So, no, he's not going to be able to snatch the election. Well, what about him having troops in the city? Good. I'm here in Chicago. I'm here in Chicago. He says he's sending troops. Okay, cool, bring it. Bring it. There's already class action suits happening. J.B. Pritzker, a real billionaire, is not playing. Our senators aren't playing. Our House of Representatives aren't playing. Our state isn't playing. Our mayor Brandon Johnson isn't playing. Game on, bitch. Game on. Come on, Cletus. What I'm trying to tell you is this troop thing does nothing but spur the base and get us even more tighter together. In DC, LA, Chicago, New York, we in every other city, Boston, Philly, Baltimore, everybody, Bay Area, you ain't doing nothing but, it's a win. I told people, ICE raids, troops, all of that is a blessing in a very weird way. So this Republican civil war that's happening between themselves is a good thing, no matter how it turns out, because it's breaking up the base. Even though Elon's no longer creating a third party, there's still going to be some serious issues, and his ability to snatch the election like he did before, I'll sneak that in, ain't happening. Again, I talk about this in my Clarity group every week. I got reports on the back end talking about the election. I talk every Saturday and Tuesday. And if you ever wanted to email back and forth with me and have conversations, I do that with Clarity Group members. I do that with hundreds of members every single day. Join my group, link in the description on the homepage. Let's move forward. There's another civil war happening, the judicial branch. And here's the biggest misconception people have about the judicial branch. They say, but Darren, he controls this. Something's going on with the Supreme Court. I agree. I believe they got something on somebody. Might be Epstein files, might be something, but they got something on somebody. I got a report coming in the Clarity group talking about what I think is going on. But I just hint around by saying, yeah, they got something on somebody. What I'm going to talk about here, out of these 5 civil wars, the third one is the judicial branch. And what I mean by that is a war between the lower courts, which are lower courts, appeal courts, Supreme Courts. And the Supreme Court is acting like cucks. The 6 of the 9 are. Let's be very clear. There are 3 that are not. Okay? Ketanji Brown Jackson ain't acting like no cuck. So in my area is not, you know what I mean? What I'm trying to get you to understand is that something's up, because they're not even acting in their own judicial interest, and they're bending over for this guy when they don't have to. That's why we think something weird is going on. It's not that they're not ruling for us, it's they're not ruling for themselves. Why would you cut off national injunctions? And they made a loophole where if it's class action suits, and the ACLU has been very smart about that. By the way, there are 3 different people fighting for us. If you think nobody's doing nothing, you're wrong. Last 30 weeks, I've already talked about the 23 governors and attorney generals. There's also been the nonprofits like the ACLU, the NAACP, Indivisible.org, MoveOn.org, and Mobilize. There's been a lot, hundreds and hundreds of nonprofits fighting. And then the third group is the judicial branch, is what we're talking about right now, the Civil War. The reason they wanted national injunctions cut off is because there were. Here's the thing you need to pay attention to. In the last 30 weeks, remember I told you, in the courts, national, state injunctions that are temporary, permanent, as well as cases, all of that has happened, and it hasn't just been Democratic liberal judges. There have been judges who were Reagan, Bush, and even Trump appointed judges. For real. This is real. They have backed up. They have come out the woodwork and fought. And I think it's brilliant. And Trump was seeing this happen. He's like, well, maybe if I stop the national injunctions. But here's the good news. Again, I bring good news. 94 districts. Remember this math. 94 districts across 50 states. There are 677 lower court judges. I'm not saying everybody's on our side, but there's enough in each state and each district to overrule some shit if they wanted to do it nationally and they had to do it state by state. Yes, there are Democratic judges in each state and they can do this. Here's the other thing you got to understand. And this is really, really big. Even if, and this is what I'm hearing from people, I got 700,000 followers across social media. Even if there were judges who are Trump judges or who were conservative judges, they are pissed about being cut from their national injunctions. They're not happy. They're not happy with the Supreme Court has done. Supreme Court's in dangerous trouble of being in war with itself. And hey, I say bravo. It's not that like we'll replace them with liberal judges. Not at this point until after the 2028 election, we actually get a president who I believe is going to be Kamala Harris. I'm going to explain that at the end, what that means. I'm going to throw a bonus in here for you. So if you've listened this far, keep listening. I'm going to talk about Kamala's pathway to presidency, okay? This is a bonus that I just decided, fuck it, I'm going to throw that in there with you. But the judicial branch is mad. And they can fight the Supreme Court. They can take on the Supreme Court and take on and stand behind their oath. So it's going to be a battle. It's not just, oh, Supreme Court does this. Here's the other good news about the Supreme Court. Traditionally, they've only gone over 1% of the cases that are out there. Trump got almost 600 cases out there. We talking 1%. We talking about 6, 7, 8 cases. My point is this. They're not always going to fight for every single Trump wish to be there. And earlier in the 30 weeks we've gone through, they were kicking down several of those cases to lower courts, saying, hey, those rules stand. So they didn't just bend over all 30 weeks. Something went down. Something went down, both in that, in the Alien Enemies Act, something went down. In the birthright citizenship, something went down. With this national injunctions being held back, something went down. It was very unlikely, and something went down. So I know something's up. I'm going to talk about it in my clarity group in a report. You should really, really get in that group. Link in the description, and the link is in the homepage of my channel. Let's go into some of these other things here. So we got this civil war going on with the judicial branch, with the Democratic Party, with the Republicans. Okay, so Republican, Democrat, judicial branch. I'm going to blow your mind with this next one. In fact, I'm going to wait for that one to be the last one, the wealth civil war. I'm going to talk about the military civil war. I've talked to several people who either retire or current, and they have said it like this. We swore an oath to the Constitution, we ready. At the top, rank and file, and within the soldiers, we ready. We don't know how many that means. They don't know neither, but we ready. In case some shit jump off, we ready. And we don't want we're all praying nobody has no violence and violent political military takeover. I don't think anybody wants that, but I think they're at the point like, listen, there's certain things we're not. There's a road. From what I'm being told, there's a line there that they will not cross with this administration. So with troops in that area, that's fine. But if you notice, Hegseth just fired a general because Trump doesn't like them. They don't like that. And they don't respect Hegseth. None of them do. It's like, you expect us to follow this? Get out. No. If it really comes to push, come to shove, there are going to be some people who are going to end their careers. And when I say end their careers, I'm not talking about life. You lose their life. At least I hope so. Not the way I'm being told is they're going to end their careers by standing up, and Trump and them are going to get rid of them, and judges may have to bring them back, or they may have to retire. But then people are going to be like, no, we ain't doing this. It ain't happening. You're going too far. That's why he wants loyalists, because in his first term, he was trying to get them to shoot protesters. And it was like, no, Mr. President, we don't do that. You know, that's not what the military is for. That's not, we're going to support that. That's totally, there's a problem with that. and generals for the first time ever. Remember, in the first term, I'd never seen this ever. It was historic. 200 members of the military and intelligence community signed a letter against Trump. That never happened in U.S. history. 250 years, unheard of. What I'm saying is that the military is ready. There is a civil war going on where some are going to side with Trump and some are going to side with the law and Constitution. And we hope it doesn't get violent. We hope that it's enough people to say, hey, we got rank, we got this, we don't want to go to war, but we're going to shut this down. We're not going to be hurting innocent protesters and people in the streets and doing this. We're not going to do this. It's against the law. We're not going to illegally go out and shut down people and arrest people. That's why I said in the beginning of this very recording, I said, remember what I said? I said, hey, we are not going to take this. We're not going to, words become things. Remember I said that? Thoughts and words become things. That's why, because we're not going to accept a dictator who's just acting like one. You're not going to be able to come in and just whoop our butt all over the place. We're the rebel nation. I don't mean that Confederacy bullshit. I mean the real rebel nation who stands up for what we believe in. And the military is like, no. The way I understand it's going to happen with key precision. It's going to happen quick, one way or another. And people are going to take over. And we hope it's for the better. But it is a civil war. And they can't reveal their cards or else they don't have a job. You see, he's firing whoever he even thinks might be bucking back. So they got to play along until they don't. But believe me, from my understanding, there have been meetings already on this. Here's the final one, the fifth Civil War. And this one's deep because a lot of you don't know this. You don't. As a business owner, I know it because I know it, but I'm going to break something down to you. Understand this. Energy is neither negative nor positive. It's all how you use it. Guns are not a bad thing. It's the people who have guns that are bad things. In the hands of a bad cop, it's a bad thing. In the hands of a crook or criminal who will hurt people, it's a bad thing. In the hands of the wrong type of military mind, it's a bad thing. But the flip side is it can be a very good thing in the right people's hands to defend us and help us. That's the same thing with energy. It's negative nor positive. The reason I'm telling you this is the same thing with capitalism. There's too many people trying to make capitalism the enemy. It's not capitalism, it's character. And here's why I bring that up. The fifth Civil War is wealthy. Not all the billionaires. Let me give you numbers here. There's over 22 million millionaires in America and over 700 billionaires in America. And all of them are bad, horrible people who are scheming and taking over people. It's been so easy to villainize wealthy people. Oh, by the way, do you know that Donald Trump's tax breaks for the rich aren't for all the rich? Yeah, it's for certain people in certain areas. And here's another truth bomb that nobody really markets. That the reality is that rich people don't get taxed. Their companies get taxed because the way rich people work, they don't own anything. In fact, the wealthier you become, it's not about what you earn. What you own is what you control. So you can have your stuff in land trusts, have your stuff in corporations, have your stuff in a variety of tax protected places. And the reason they don't change that is because if they change that, it affects a bigger picture. For instance, do you know your 401ks are tied into this? That's who's managing your money. The private equity people, as well as these big corporations, they put their money into. So, they're putting money into Apple. Apple isn't just a bunch of billionaires. Apple is people. Millions, hundreds of millions of people and billions of people around the world who own Apple stock, including the firefighters union, the teachers union, the police unions across the nation. And the reason I'm bringing this money stuff up is because you have wealthy people who are not happy the way that Trump has been managing the nation. They know we're going to have a recession. It's due. We usually have boom bust recession growth within 10 years. We hadn't had one since 2009. We in trouble. We in trouble. We were going to hit whether Kamala was president or not. It was going to happen. But I'm trying to tell y'all, we in trouble. We got some issues. And what I'm saying to you is that in the midst of this, the wealthy people know it. What are the red flags Trump's doing? Cryptocurrency is at its highest ever. And I'm one of those people who believe that crypto is not a Ponzi scheme. It's not. It's not. The problem is, it's the people who are the problem. Again, it's not about capitalism, it's about character. It's the people using it. It's not a Ponzi scheme. It is a way for blockchain and money to go digital. And notice, if it's a Ponzi scheme, then why are all the banks taking it on? I remember Trump said it was a Ponzi scheme until he found a way to make money off of it. Here's a bonus, because I told you that I was giving you a bonus on Kamala's pathway to presidency. I'm going to give you this as a bonus. Here's what I trained in my clarity group. Again, get in my clarity group. Click the link in the description and the link in my homepage. Join my group before the price doubles. It's worth it. Here's why. This is the thing you don't hear anywhere on the web, okay? This is how he makes money. Trump. He has meme coins. His family manages them. And what he does as president is he has multinational corporations, both in America and around the world, who put money into that meme coin. They invest in the meme coin. Then they have somebody proving that they made that investment in the meme coin, and Trump adjusts his policy. Let's say BlackRock, that manages trillions. They ain't gonna think twice about putting $100 million in a meme coin. A country that wants to do trillions of dollars in business ain't gonna think twice about putting money in a meme coin. Or a company here in America who may want the 1.4 trillion coming from the United Arab Emirates deal, where they're gonna spend 1.4 trillion in American business, and they want to get billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of business. They wouldn't think twice about putting money into a meme coin. It's like this is the modern day crypto Swiss bank account. And how do they pull the money out? They don't. What they do is the same thing that wealthy people do, is if they own assets like real estate or stocks or bonds or whatever investments, they don't pull the money out. The money is earning interest, or it's up and down in the meme coin world. But they can get loans tax-free. Anybody who has a business can get tax-free loans, and people can get tax-free. Loans aren't taxable. You can get tax-free loans and tax-free lines of credit and live off of it or reinvest the money while the original money is earning interest. So these meme coins are growing in price, even if they're up and down. The great part about it is he can loan 80, 90% or more of the meme coin to live off of or reinvest the money that's tax-free. That way, you can't tax the rich. I'm sorry, you just can't. Here, it's not that you can't. It's just it's going to be hard because the real rich people are not taxable. They own companies and they get loans that are tax-free, like everybody gets loans, not just wealthy people, and they live off the loan money. And the money that they do earn gets paid down. And how do they, well, you think, well, they got to pay off the loan, don't they, Darren? Yeah, they do. Here's how they do it. They pay down the loan. I'm still on the wealthy revolution part explaining this, but they pay down the loan with the money they earn. Why is that important to know? Because as individuals, we're taxed gross, but as businesses, and anybody can start a business, you're taxed net. So they're paying off that money with their earnings, like from his licensing deals and all his other grifts that are legal. He's paying that money down off the loan for the meme coin loan he got where they put money into the meme coin so he would adjust his policy to make sure they got some of this money out the American deal. He wants to take Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac IPOs. You don't think he's getting a piece of that? That's how he's getting it. The people who are managing that, like Goldman Sachs or somebody, would put money into the meme coin and be able for him to loan against that meme coin more money into the system, and therefore, look, they just won this contract for privatization. That's why he's trying to privatize everything from the post office to FAA to this to Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and yes, Social Security, which is doubly dangerous. $2.5 trillion. Who wouldn't put money into his meme coin? $100 million ain't jack. Put a billion, couple of billion in there. That's why he's going from being worth $2 billion to $6 billion. He's trying to get $100 billion bag. Just like his father, Fred. He's trying to use the government money. And it's sad, I know. But the good news is, this is the thing that's going to get him in trouble. How? Well, I'll throw a bonus in there. Again, I told you 8 different types of investigations are happening. You know what one of his top investigations are happening? Grifting. How are they going to catch him grifting? This is the only way Donald Trump will go to jail, guaranteed. You ready? Only way he'll go to jail, guaranteed, is if they can catch him on a grift. Who's they? He owns the DOJ. Who's they? Do you know he's fired thousands of FBI, CIA, NSA, and 3-letter departments we don't even know exist in the intelligence community? How do you think they feel about that? A little mad? Do a little investigation? They're retired people, fired people, people who bought who did the buyout. And check this out. This is what I mean by wealthy civil war. Do you know that these 8 investigations I talked about, everything from deportations to Elon Doge to, yes, his grifting and more, are being financed privately through consulting firms owned by very wealthy people? Enemies of Peter Thiel, Elon, enemies of Trump. And they hired these intelligence officers to do consultant work. But they can't show their cards right now. This is something that's coming in years. After the 28 elections, after this stuff moves, there are going to be hearings. I'll give you another bonus, something I only told in the Clarity group. Some more bonus. I'm just giving you. Here's who's going to jail. You want to hear that? You listen this far, let's talk. Here's who's going to jail. First of all, it's going to be the people who are not politically connected. ICE, custody agents, customs agents, State Department, Homeland Security people going to jail in all places because they are legally deported people like crazy. Kristi Noem could be going to jail. Tom Homan, most certainly, Bordazar, go to jail. The other person going to jail, Steve Miller. Steve Miller was named in the Aurego Garcia case under Judge Zenas, who's a badass. She's the one that just got Aurego Garcia out of jail and said, don't you dare deport him. She's also the one who got him in the country again. Because she said, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Let's go. And they said, wait a minute, we'll have him back in 48 hours, ma'am. Why are they moving? You say they're not afraid of the court. They are afraid of the court. You know why? Because Trump doesn't go to jail. Nothing happens to Trump, but the people under him. They will catch hell. They'll lose their license, lose their job, and lose their freedom. And that brings me to Pam Bondi at the top of that list. Pam Bondi going to jail. Stephen Miller has been named by Aurego Garcia case Judge Zenas and Judge Boasberg. Plus, she complained. Pam Bondi put a complaint against Boasberg. Not a good move. Not a good move at all. That's going to come back and bite him. There's a couple of more going about. Tulsi Gabbard, Hexep should be in jail right now because of what he did with Signalgate, national security. So should Tulsi. But there are going to be people going to jail. And what I'm saying is, as a result of this, is going to be from the investigations that are financed by wealthy people who can't stand Trump, who can't stand Peter Thiel, who can't stand Elon Musk, who can't stand any of those guys. Who could it be? Well, there's 22 millionaires and 700 billionaires. We don't know the majority of the billionaires and millionaires in America. But it could also be very famous people behind it. Who doesn't like them that's tremendously wealthy? Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Cuban, the founder of LinkedIn, the founder of Craigslist, Craig Newmark. That's just a few famous people. The majority aren't famous, and they move in the shadows. You know, the only president to piss off this many intelligence investigators, intelligence-connected people was JFK. And no, I'm not saying anything happens to Trump. They're waiting him out. He's already sick and dying. Don't nobody need to assassinate that guy unless it's a lone nut again. I mean, and people ask me, well, those 2 times they tried to get him, was that part of the liberal, part of somebody, part of intelligence? No, that was with lone nuts. Because if it had been professionals, they wouldn't have seen a fucking thing. Wouldn't have happened. The Secret Service would not have spotted that. It was amateur hour. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that these investigators, they could get Trump. He's got all of this stuff. The Elon Doge thing, illegal. Deportation's illegal. The grifting, illegal. It is out in the open. It wouldn't take, you could do it, let alone a investigator in the intelligence community. Somebody's going to jail. He could be going, that's the only way he could go to jail. Through the grifting and through these investigators that are financed through the wealthy. Again, 5 civil wars. So now as a bonus, you know who's going to jail, who I believe is going to jail. Now you know about these 5 civil wars, something I teach and repeatedly give you updates on in the Clarity Group. Again, get my Clarity Group. It's worth it. The reports alone and the lives are golden. People love the lives because I'll entertain you, have you laughing, and keep you engaged. But here's another thing. I'd tell you Kamala's pathway to presidency. Let's go. She's on this book tour for the next year. People I know, even in the Clarity Group, got tickets here in Chicago to go to her auditorium, the book tour, and do the whole thing. Yeah, she's on a book tour. Yeah, for a year, right? What happens after that? Well, anybody in PR, particularly in politics, can tell you a mile away what's happening after that. She's going to support the midterm election people. She's getting out there to know people and talk with them and support the midterm election people. And as we go through 2026, we're going to go into early 2027. Remember in 2007, a certain guy from Illinois announced he was running for president? In February of 2007, the first quarter, Barack Obama had 22 months to run a campaign for presidency, and he did it. Kamala Harris has way more advantages. She's still leading in the polls, though Gavin Newsom is climbing, doing great. But there are people who are ready to do a rerun with Kamala. And honestly, I think what's going to happen is she's going to announce in early 2027, early to mid, that she's running. There's going to be primaries up until that time, going into early 2028. She's going to kill everybody in the primary, including Gavin. She's going to take them on because she is brilliant debater. So much Trump didn't ever want to debate her again, remember? She's brilliant. She's going to come out with her book and read in between the lines in that book. I'll just say it like that. Hint, hint, read in between the lines of that book. Get that book and read in 107 days. Read in between the lines of that book. Everything I'm telling you right now is one of the coldest things. One of the things I talk about in the Clarity Group, and that's why I keep telling you to join, link in the description, link in the home, da, 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 da. I keep telling you that because I talked about a civil war that actually happened within that campaign in the election. Somebody wanted a recount. That's all I'm going to say. I ain't going to get in no more trouble. I don't want my stuff flagged. Get in my Clarity Group. Here's the thing. In that 107 pages, you go reading between there, you're going to find some things. But it's going to get even better. I got even better for you. You ready? It's going to get even better. What I'm also telling you right now is that when she announced that she's running, I think she's going to get Tim Walz back again, if he wants to get it back again. Because I think he was perfect for her presidency. I don't think it's going to be a Gavin Newsom or blah, blah, blah. No. The same reason it isn't going to be Shapiro, unless, again, Tim Walz doesn't want it. But I think Tim is smart. Look at how Tim Walz is playing things. You got all of these governors speaking out against Trump. You notice that he's been speaking out. Tim Walz has been speaking out, but he's been very low-key and carefully low-key. Yeah. She's going to run. She's going to whip ass. She's going to kill it. And she's going to be president. And this time, I'll just say it like this. This time, ain't going to be a fucking satellite in the sky. You get what I'm saying, right? Okay. Math wasn't mathing. I know. You know. They stole the you know what. I talk about it again in the Clarity Group. And one of the things I talk about is 4 states that didn't look, and people were screaming about it in the camp. They were screaming about it. You're not alone. But here's the other thing I take you from in the Clarity Group. Yeah, do you know what was stolen? Now what do we do about it? What can we do the next 3.5 years? Stop living that fantasy that the coconut will come back and take the orange. That's bullshit. It's not going to happen. She's going to run her campaign with this book. She's going to run to support the midterm campaigns that are going to be stellar and whip the ass. It's going to be a blue wave. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Then she's going to announce in 2027. She's going to beat the primaries out, and she's coming back. And we're going to see the real colors of the Democratic Party again. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Because the problem is, again, why is there a problem with her? What was the issue? I thought we were, yeah, there's some shit in the game. There's shit in the game. But it's okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to get through this, y'all. We're going to get through this. I encourage all of you, not just to get in my group and subscribe here, but binge watch my content here if you want. I want you to understand the bigger picture here. There is some great things coming out. So let's talk about that blue wave for 2026 and 2028. I already talked to you just now. As I said, I believe that Kamala Harris is going to be the next president of the United States. She's going to win in stellar fashion. She's going to be fantastic. I do wonder if she's going to live, and I hope she does. That's why I think she's also proceeding with caution. The other thing, and I pray that I'm wrong in that vibe. I really do. I'm not trying to call on that energy. She's a brilliant woman, brilliant person in general. And I'm honored to say I worked on that campaign. Honored to be part of that history, especially speaking as the son of a man, the son of a woman who marched with Martin Luther King. I got an interesting story on that. I'll tell you one day. But this blue wave in 2026 is going to go down like this, and then I'll wrap things up. The blue wave is coming because of the big, beautiful bill and everything else they've done with Elon and with Epstein and blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. There's 2 parts of this wave coming. There are people who are challenging independently in red states. There are people in blue states who are coming out of retirement, like that, I forget his name, who former senator out of Ohio, to try to take on the red states in Ohio. Right now, it's the Democrats' game to lose. But the only way they're going to win is if they embrace some of the problems they have in the Civil War, such as the progressive ideology. They got to get more progressive. I said something that I wish wasn't true, but Trump did so well because I said this while I was working on Kamala's campaign. The only way Trump is really going to do well is if he goes further to the right. And boy, didn't he, right? Well, here's the other thing. The only way the Democratic Party is going to go well is if they don't go more, if they go left, they'll do well. Go further left, and stop shunning Mamdani and other progressives. Embrace that, embrace the younger youth, and address this prejudice, racism, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia. If you don't start having that talk in the Democratic Party, we're going to have ongoing problems. You can't just shovel that over. You can't just get the, donors want to get the safe white guy. It's just enough. In my clarity group, there was a lady, a white lady, as a matter of fact. She said, listen, I am so tired of these white guys running. That's where we're at right now. I think Kamala's going to have a darn good campaign and come back and win and blow up. Facts. I think what you need to understand is that this blue wave is real. It's theirs to lose. But the only way they're going to win this blue wave is if they embrace the core values against prejudice, racism, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, and they're able to help their down ticket, and they're able to pass the torch to the younger people, and they're able to definitely embrace the progressiveness. They can't sweep that under. The days of marketing yourself as we're not them Republicans is over. You got to go deeper than that, or else the base won't show up like they need to. That's another thing. I think it's best to have Kamala run because there are people who felt cheated out of the previous election. And quite frankly, if you just back the white guy again, you're not gonna win. Gavin won't win without the black vote. I'll say that again. Gavin won't win without the black vote. He went south and did a little test going south, and didn't seem like, according to black people, though I could be wrong, I didn't see too much on that. He wasn't talking too deeply to the black constituency. We voted 85%. We vote the highest among any other group, religiously, spiritually, ethnically, or otherwise. And he won't win without the black vote. And we voted at 85% this time. We won that election. It was, what was stolen. But here's the other thing I want to put out there in closing. And that is that if we voted at 85% this time, we coming back on 95, baby. We coming like gangbusters this time. And I'm telling you, the investigations I've been just telling you about are going to happen. But they're going to happen after she gets in. She's going to be the greatest president in U.S. history. Not because she's a black woman and all of that. It's because she's going to reconstruct this country based on everything he tore down. Here's the good news to remember in final as we close this. And definitely, again, get into my clarity group. Link in the description and in the homepage. Here's the thing you need to understand. And subscribe. I know I've earned your subscription if we've gone this far. Here's the thing that's really great about Kamala. She obviously is the most qualified, and she will know how to do reconstruction for this country. But the real good news is this. Everything he'll do in the next 3.5 years to tear down, as well as what he did in the previous 30 weeks, the previous 6 months, previous whatever 30 weeks is, from 8 weeks, eight months or whatever. Everything he's done to tear down. The great thing about our country is that a new presidency can bring it back. And in 2026, the blue wave could bring it back as well. We can reverse this stupid shit, including the big, beautiful BS bill. So this is something we're looking forward to. In the meanwhile, you got to have your head right. There are 3 things you need to do. 1, there's simple things you can do. Stay in touch with your Congress. If you're in a red state, definitely choose a blue state to get on their email list. You can pick here in Illinois. That's where I'm at. But here's the other thing you want to do. And you can look up in Google who they are. Look up Duckworth, Durbin, and Davis. Okay, sounds like a law firm, but it's 2 senators in the House of Representatives, Danny Davis, Tammy Duckworth, the veteran, the only one who's like in a wheelchair and everything. And then there's Durbin, who's retiring and everything. But you can choose to get on their list. The other thing you can do is join indivisible.org, join the NAACP. Even if you're not black, you can do that. Just like joining the Anti-Defamation League. You don't need to be Jewish to do that. There's another element too. Spread my videos. This one, very important. I did a deep dive you'll never hear anywhere else, especially not along the alarmist left. So between spreading word, between joining those organizations, between catching up with Congress, what else can you do? This is what I teach in the Clarity Group. Patience. Just be patient. We're going to wait this out. We're in a marathon with sprinters. Watch my next video, but in the meanwhile, also click over in my description and on my homepage. Join my Clarity Group. It's one of a kind before it doubles up and closes. All right? God bless you guys. God bless America. We're going to get through this. Kamala Harris voters. It's going to be okay. Here's the good news. It's going to be okay. We're making it through all of this. And this has been my deep dive.